Hey, what's up people? It's Rohan, your personal trainer here. Today in this video I'm going through what to do when an exercise is either too hard or too easy. The first principle we're going to be touching on is gravity, okay? Gravity is always pulling us down, and it's important to keep in mind that that affects exercise as well. Okay, unless you're using a band or a cable that's attached to a machine, the resistance, dumbbells or your body weight is going to be wanting to drop towards the ground. Usually the impact of gravity on exercise is obvious, sometimes it's not so obvious, okay? So let's take a crunch for an example, a way you can make it really easy and a way you can make it much harder just by impacting the gravity or taking into account what gravity is doing in the exercise, okay? So a regular crunch would be on the ground, we'd be crunching up, rolling up, and then coming back down. But let's say we're doing it standing and we're crunching towards the ground. It's going to be the easiest crunch you've ever done in your life, okay? So regular crunch, hands next to the head or behind the head, and then crunching down and coming back up. In fact, that's so easy that it takes no effort almost to crunch down. It takes more effort to come back up. So the lower back is involved in coming back up. Let's take the alternative to that. Let's flip it upside down. Let's hang off something, do an inverted crunch, and you're going to quickly find that gravity is now pulling on you a lot more. It's a lot more body weight that you have to crunch up. It's even more difficult than just a regular line crunch, as you can imagine. All right, the second principle that we can affect to make an exercise harder or easier is the lever. Okay, so always, the longer the lever, the harder it's going to be. The shorter, the easier it's going to be. So I'll give you a very clear example with the lateral raise. We're going to grab some dumbbells. Okay, so the lever here is the arm, okay? And the muscle working is the shoulder. So we're going to shorten the lever here. This is an easy lateral raise, okay? Then if we bring it out a little bit further, it's harder. And if you bring it all the way out, this is much more difficult. As you can imagine, if you want to try it yourself, you'll quickly see the difference. These you could do many more than these, just because the lever is so much longer and the weight's all the way out there at the end of my hands makes it a lot more difficult. So again, the longer the lever, the more difficult the exercise is going to be. All right, now the third principle that affects the difficulty of an exercise is the tempo at which you're doing it, okay? Everybody has a natural, regular tempo, and which includes the concentric or the positive part of the movement, the eccentric, the negative part, and both holds, the hold down here and the hold at the top. Okay, that's the whole, the range of the tempo at which you do an exercise, and each part matters. So slowing any of these parts down and controlling the movement more will make the movement more difficult, okay? If you're an athlete and you have a specific purpose for being explosive, if you're a sprinter or you play sports, speeding it up might be helpful. But for most people, if you're just trying to build muscle or lose weight or look better, I would shy away from explosive movements or speeding it up. Slowing down is a great way to make an exercise more difficult, okay? For an example, I'm going to give you the bicep curl, okay? I'm going to do a regular bicep curl, a couple reps, and then let's slow down the negative. It's already more difficult than it was just now. And then you can add on to that, slowing down the positive too. Slowing down the concentric and the eccentric. Takes more control, more time under tension for the muscle. It is definitely more difficult. Okay, then you can also slow down the hold, especially at the top. That squeeze at the top, you might want to hold it for some exercises. Any part of that exercise, the positive, the negative, or either hold, slowing it down is going to make the exercise more difficult. All right, now the fourth principle is going to be overload. Okay, overloading the exercise, adding either weight, reps, or sets to that exercise. Now this is key to progressing over time. You always want to try to increase weight, increase reps, increase sets. That's how you get stronger over time. But if you just want to make an exercise easier or harder, you can either take away weight, take away reps, take away sets, or add them, okay? So with any exercise, even bodyweight exercises, you could add weight to them, or reps or sets. It's pretty self-explanatory. Now on top of that, with bodyweight exercises, usually you're using two limbs. So let's say a regular squat using both legs to squat down and come back up. If you want to make that a lot more difficult, I wouldn't jump directly to this, but if you want to make it more difficult, you can do that squat on one leg, and it's going to be all the body weight on that one leg. Much more difficult than the regular squat. Same with push-ups, same with pull-ups, same with any bodyweight exercises mostly. The last thing that we can do to affect the difficulty of an exercise is to find an alternative. Okay, so if it's too hard or too easy, we can find something else to do instead. This can be a small change, just changing the surface or changing the angle, or it can be a big change, a completely different exercise. Okay, so let's take the push-ups for example. You could do these on rings, you could do these on a suspension band, or you could change it to the bench press, which works a lot of the same muscles and which you can add weight onto quite easily. All right, there you have it. The most impactful things that you can do to make an exercise more difficult or more easy. Please stay tuned as I make an example of push-ups, going through each principle one by one. If you liked the video, give it a like, maybe share it with someone who might find use from it, and I'll see you in the next one.